Okay, today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building our first project. Okay, so this is Hello World. We're going to start by going to our Start button. You're going to open Visual Studio. I'm using Visual Basic 2008. You start with the Start screen. We're going to start by going to File, New Project. Okay, always make sure that you're doing a Windows Forms application. You want to start by naming your Windows application. We're going to call this Hello World. Make sure that you put the words together, no spaces, no special characters, so no pound signs or underscores or anything like that. Just put them right together. Okay, this is going to create a Properties window on the right. You're going to have a Solution Explorer on the top, and you're going to have a toolbox on the left. Okay, right now my toolbox is pinned. If your toolbox looks like this, so it's scrunched up on the side here, all you need to do is click on it. To pin it so that it stays out, you just click on the pin. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to set up our form. Okay, this is what the user is going to see. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the common controls. Okay, so you can close all of the other options. So these can be closed if you want. You just click on it to close those. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to start by creating a button. So we're going to click on Button, and we're going to put a button in the screen. And then we're going to do a second button, and we're going to click on the screen. Now, to align those buttons, what we're going to do is we're going to click on one button, hold our Control key, and click on the next button. We're going to go to Format, choose Align, and we're going to align the centers. Okay, if we want to align them with the form, we can click on the form and choose the same thing, align. Oh, it won't let me align centers on those, so we'll just move those over. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a label. Now what a label is going to do is it's going to allow the user to see what they are typing, or what you're displaying to them. Okay, the label is going to display something to the user. Okay, the user cannot type in a label. Now you saw that I just double clicked on that and it created a label right here. And I'm just going to move this down. You notice as I move it, it aligns. It shows me how it's going to align with those buttons. Okay, I'm just going to sort of align it in the center on the top right here. Okay, so right now I have label 1, button 1, and button 2. Those are not very descriptive names. Neither is form 1 for that matter. So what we're going to do next is we are going to give all of our objects, these are all called objects, we're going to give them names and values. We're going to do that using the Properties window. Okay, so we are going to start with label 1. So what we're going to do is you can either click on label 1 here, or you can click here and choose label 1. And I have two label 1s, so I'm going to click, that's form 1. Oh no, I have a form 1 and a label 1, excuse me. So I'm going to click label 1. Now, I don't want anything to appear if I run my program right now. Okay, this is how you run program. Okay, see how it says start debugging? If I run it right now, when it shows up on the screen, okay, you see my user sees this label 1 right here in my box. I don't want my user to see the words label 1. So what I want to do is I want to change the text property. I want to change the text property of my label. So I'm going to delete that so that now I have no value to my text property. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is I want to change the name. Okay, that's what the computer sees. That's what the computer calls this label. Label 1 is not descriptive. If I had 55 labels in my program, they would be label 1, label 2, label 3, label 4. Those are not descriptive. I need to name it something so that as I'm going through, I know what each label is. So I'm going to call this one message label. Okay? So we're just going to set those two properties. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the value of our button. So we're going to click on button 1. Okay, notice that now I have nothing in my label. If I run my program, now nothing appears. Okay, so where it said label 1 before, nothing appears because the text property is blank. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the value of our first button. So we're going to enter a new text value. Okay, so we're going to go down. These are all alphabetical. If they're not alphabetical, press this button. Okay, we're going to go down here. We're going to find it. There it is, button 1. Okay, now we want to change the text property. We don't want it to say button 1. We want to tell the user what we want them to do with that button. We want them to push it. So we're going to say push me. Now, when I change it, notice how it changes what that button says. Okay? So I'm going to go up now to the name property. Now remember, again with the name property, that's what the computer calls that button, but it also has to be something descriptive that the user can understand. Okay? So we're going to call this push button because that's a descriptive. We know if we call it push button on this form, we know that push button refers to that because that says push me. So that the name makes sense. It's intuitive. Okay? So it says push button. So that makes sense. So we're gonna go ahead and use that for that name. Now notice that I'm again capitalizing and capitalizing each next letter. That's called camel case. Camel case is what that's called. Okay, the next one we're going to use is we're going to do button 2. We're going to go ahead and we're going to change the text property for this one to say exit. And we're going to change the name property. And we're going to call this exit button. Now notice that I always keep the type of object as part of my name. Okay, so I describe what the object does, and then I keep the type of object in my name. So I know that this button is going to exit, and it's a button. Okay, that helps me to have a better idea of what it does. Okay, next I'm going to work with a form. Okay, so I'm going to change the text property of the form. I'm going to go down to text, and you see it says form 1, so as you probably guessed, it's going to change the value here. So I'm going to change the text property of this form to hello world by, and I'm going to put my name, but I want you to put your name because you're the one writing this program. Okay? And then I'm going to go up and I'm going to change the name of the form to hello form. Okay? Now, if it doesn't change it here, you can change it by just typing in here hello form, and that'll change it that way. Okay, make sure everything matches. Okay, now if I go ahead and I run this program, it pops up, but if I push this, nothing happens. If I push this, nothing happens. So what we need to do now is we need to code these buttons so that something happens when we push them. Those are called events and event procedures. What they do is they make something happen when you push the button. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by creating it's called a sub-procedure for the push me button. What we want it to do is we want it to display the message hello world in our label when we push the button. So we're going to double click on the button, and what it's going to do is it's going to open a code window. You see that there's a bunch of code already written here. Don't touch that code, it's correct. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in some comments. So we're going to scroll down a little bit, we're going to go above it. Always, always, always in your program you need to put information. Okay, you need to put the name of the person who wrote the program. Okay, you need to put the date. Now notice that I put a little apostrophe before each of my comments. What that does is that tells the computer that these are comments. These are for the person, the humans that are reading the program. The computer just ignores these entirely. These are for the humans. These are not for the computer. So I'm going to go ahead and put the date, and today's date is, just put 6/4. And then we'll put a description of the program. And we'll put displays, the message, hello world, when a button is pressed. Okay, and then you need to put that little hash mark before the apostrophe before every single line. Okay, so every time you press that enter key, you need to put that apostrophe. Now this in between is called white space. Okay, white space is good because it helps make it easier to read the program. So we want white space in our program. You don't have to put any apostrophes or hash marks or anything for white space. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our first sub procedure. Now notice it says private sub, that means sub procedure. Push button underscore click. This is the event procedure. Okay, this is saying when the user clicks on the push button. Okay, what it's going to do is it's going to do all this stuff. Now, whenever you do a new sub procedure, you always have to put a comment that explains what that sub procedure does. And we're going to say displays the message hello world. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to actually display the message hello world. And the way that we're going to do this is we are going to change the value. Okay, remember in here, okay, when we went to the label, okay, we can't see our label, so the easier way to select it is to pull it down here. Okay, remember we have the text property. Okay, and remember whatever we put in the text property shows up inside the label. So what we need to do here is we need to change the value of that text property. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by typing message label. Now whenever we start typing, we're going to get this pop-up box. Okay, whenever possible, always choose the option, okay, because that's going to help prevent you from making typographical errors. Typographical errors are called syntax errors. Syntax errors are typographical errors. Okay, so after we type message label, we're just going to put dot. Okay, now we're changing the text property. Okay, so we're just going to start typing text, and there we see text. So we can just select that and choose equals. Okay, so that's saying the text property of message label is going to equal, this is called the assignment, this is in programming language, this is called the assignment operator, which means we're assigning a new value to the text property of message label. And we're going to make it equal hello world. And it doesn't matter what you type inside these quotes, because the computer is just going to put whatever you put inside these quotes, the computer is going to put it in there exactly. So exactly how you type it is how the computer is going to put it in there. Okay, so exactly how you type it. So you can type whatever you want inside the quotes and the computer doesn't care. You can type whatever you want inside the quotes. Okay, so that's our first sub procedure. And notice it ends with these two words, end sub. That means end sub procedure. They always start with private sub and they end with end sub. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our design, because now we need to program our exit button. So again, we're going to double click. Now again, notice exit button underscore click. So we're saying when somebody clicks on the exit button instead this time. And we're just going to put our little comment. We're going to say exits the program, okay, because we want to close the program. And we're going to put a little white space. Now, this is always the same thing. Me, what that means is we're saying this form. Okay, me means this form. That's what me means. Okay, so we're always going to do that. Me dot, and we're going to do C, and you can see here we've got this close option. Okay, now close, if you look over here, you see this little pop-up. It says that you have to have parentheses after it. Okay, it's telling you how to do it. So we're going to go ahead and type our open and close parentheses. Okay, a lot of times these will have arguments in between the parentheses, but close does not have any arguments in it. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to go up, we want to run the program, we want to debug it and see if it works. Now we always want to test all of our options. Okay, first of all, we see that it changed Hello World by Linnea Hall, so that's up there. Okay, push me. Oh look, it displays Hello World, that's right. Okay, we also have the exit button, so we need to test that. And it closes the program. Wonderful, it does everything that it needs to do. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do File, we're going to do Save All. Okay, the name is Hello World. Okay, we're going to save it, we're going to let it save wherever it wants to save. Okay, we're not going to make our own directories. Okay, so make sure you notice where it's saving. This is saving in my Documents folder, in Visual Studio 2008, Projects. Okay, so make sure you make a note of that because that's where you're going to go to get it in order to submit it. Okay, so make sure you make a note of it, and it's called Hello World. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and save it. Make sure that this is check marked. You want to create a directory for the solution. Choose Save. Okay, and then you can close. Okay, then what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to submit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go into Documents because that's where it's saved. And it's in Visual Studio 2008 and Projects. And there it is right there. Hello World. Okay. Now, from here, we're going to right click. Okay. We're going to choose Send to Compressed or Zipped Folder. Okay. There it is right there. The zipped one. That's the one that we want to turn in. Okay, so from this point, what you're going to do is you're going to go into the classroom, go to Learning Units, find Unit 1. Okay, this one is called First VB. Okay, so you're going to go down. You're going to choose Browse. Okay, remember where we saved it. Okay, we saved it in Documents, Visual Studio, Projects, and there it is right there. Make sure you get the zipped ones. Make sure you get the one that says Zip Archive. Okay, we're going to click on that and choose Open. Okay, and then we're going to go down here and choose Submit. Okay, then you can go back and you can check to make sure that you've submitted the right folder. I'm going to go back into that program. It should say this assignment is complete. I'm going to click OK to review it. There's my project right there. It says helloworld.zip. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to choose Open. Okay, it has one folder here. I'm going to double click. It has another folder. This is your solution file. Okay. If you double click on it again, this is your bin. Okay. Let's go up a level again. I want to show you something else. This, if you right click on this, actually you guys can't do that, but if you open that up and view it with Notepad, this, look at this. This is your code right here. Okay, that's your code file. Okay, if you click on bin, choose debug, there's your file right there, helloworld.exe. If you double click on that, there's your program. Push me and exit. Okay, so once you check all that, you know it's correct. If you have any problems, if it doesn't work, make sure you email me so that I can make changes, I can correct it, I can clear it out so that you can send me the correct file. Okay, if you have any questions, you can find me on Pronto, you can find me on AIM, or you can email me. Okay, and I'm on Pronto most of the days. AIM sends to my phone, so if you can't reach me on Pronto, reach me on AIM. All right, good luck.